recording birds instead because they are really lively out there right now. I love how I just finished uploading a video and editing a massive one, but then I said, you know what? Let's stream. That's what I mean to do. So, anyway, what's up, guys? At this moment, I wanted to finally take a second to, of course, do the main core of what this channel has become, which is bitching, complaining, moaning, just being an absolute, I guess, relatively hurt person about the way things are, depending on what it is. But I had to create this topic because I thought that it was all in my head, but no, it really isn't. So, having to compete for attention against entertainment, what does that mean? What I mean by that is that because of the fucking smartphone, because of things like TV and you being able to plug your computer to the TV or link your phone to the TV and say when you're driving, you can connect your phone to like the sound system so that hopefully that keeps you from holding it, little things like that. It seems like to maintain someone engaged when you're hanging out or conversation or whatever the heck it is, you really have to fight against their addiction with technology. And it's crazy to me that I hear a lot of people say things about how they feel really lonely and they don't have a lot of friends and whatnot. But then the moment that you have people around you that you can be social with because you actually know these people, you're still worried about what's going on your phone. Why? I could understand, say, during the pandemic, you're like, okay, social distancing. There are certain settings in which you should really not hang out with someone, especially at close proximity. We're on the go when we are at, say, at work. Okay, it's important to be engaged and productive when you're at work or if you're a student to pay attention to your class and whatnot. But like outside of that, with like friends or family, I feel like I'm constantly fighting against their distractions, their entertainment, their technology, their world online or via text, whatever it is. I really have to compete hard against that to get their attention. And the reason I'm upset about it is because I tell these fucking people things and then a day later they turn around and they act like a conversation never happened and they're like, I don't remember that. You didn't say that. I have no recollection of this and that. You don't, do you? Because at the moment that I was telling you something, you were not paying attention. And I am not someone who repeats herself. I shouldn't have to. And it makes me mad because I know I don't do that to people. And if I do, which I have been able to multitask since I was a teen, like say using the computer and listening to music and having a conversation and even typing all at the same time. That's something that me personally, I was able to train myself to do. And that's why a long ass time ago, I created a topic, something about, is it rude to be a multitasker? I forget the title I gave it. But if I'm capable and I can prove to you that what you say to me while I'm engaged on something else is not going in through one ear and exiting through the other, then I'm confident about what I'm doing. I can do it. I'm capable. I can prove it. Cool. I get away with doing it. But if you're not capable, if your memory sucks, if you are susceptible to like stress, if you're tired, if you're sleep deprived, if you're not going to hand me the best version of yourself, the fully rested one, or fuck, you're tired, but at least you're here in this space. While you're in this space, you're actually here for me, and I take priority over anything else, then okay, cool, great, you are welcome. But it's really infuriating to me that I'm finding myself repeating myself, having to prove to people that something happened and how it happened, when it happened, where it happened, and we're not advancing. And when I think about what was going on when this thing was happening, oh, right, this person was more concerned about their fucking phone buzzing more than what I was saying. And another thing that triggers me, and you'll have to excuse me because I'm so like outraged right now that I'll be more all over the place than usual. But it's just crazy to me that you're the same person who says and swears and claims that you don't have an addiction, that you can keep that under control, that you're not consumed by what goes on online or on your phone, but yet there you are. The moment that thing dings or whatever noise it makes, you're reaching into your pocket looking for it. You don't have like the willpower to resist that shit. And then you will come up with excuses to justify that, like, oh, I'm waiting on something, I'm waiting on someone, or waiting for the. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because, say, if you're at work, for instance, if you're getting something that involves your personal life, you ain't going nowhere unless you have someone who's like sick, like, say, oh, my child's school just called me, he's sick, I gotta go. You usually receive a phone call. You ain't gonna be texted about that unless you're possibly discussing how to get out of that problem. Like, say, oh, I'm supposed to pick up the child, but instead I'm trying to get somebody else to do it. So, but it's difficult because I'm the parent. I'm supposed to be the person with permission to go pick up my child, something like that. But you know what I mean? You ain't going nowhere. When you say or you claim that you're waiting on a reply, what reply are you waiting for? When the person says, okay, or something like that. Like, you guys have told me, not you guys here on the channel, but the people I'm thinking about as I say this, you all tell me about the discussions that you have, the conversations that you have, and trust me, they ain't all that life changing. So I'm pretty sure I would bet the money that I don't have in my account that what you're waiting for is not important. It's just you are like hooked to the design of interacting with people over your phone. Let it be you like how Messenger looks, you like the emojis, you like the words, you like the fact that you're having instantaneous communication with someone who's miles away from you. Whatever the hell it is, you just have zero control, zero discipline about that. And I'm here to bitch about it because it sickens me that this is affecting the quality of my relationships or my friendships. It almost makes me feel like I'm not important when I'm there. So what is the point of you like having an appointment with me, having some kind of, I don't know, let's call it a date or whatever, hanging out, if you're not going to be there for me, if you're still going to be concerned about the life that you have in your phone, stay at home. If it's people from home talking to you, stay at home. If it's people who live in another city chatting away with you, move to that fucking city then and be with them. Whatever it is. But if you're here, I expect for you to be present. Not just your body, but your mind is here as well. Because I am going to be treating you like you are. But if you're not here for that, then leave me alone. Okay? Because then you're wasting my time. And that shit pisses me off. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much the meat of the topic. because like I'm starting to progressively get angrier and angrier about it. But I only get angry about it because I have brought this up to some individuals, and of course they are very sensitive about it. So it's gotten to the point where I let go of me being a proper lady and being chill, cool, calm, collected, kind about it. And I'm like, fuck you. You have problems. You got issues. Like, your addiction is wrecking your life right now. It's wrecking your friendship with me, or whatever kind of relationship we may have. But it's just, it really bothers me that the person who does this is not aware at all. And that's what worries me and scares me. Like, I have to work hard to prove to these people that they really have a problem and that this happens often and it lasts a long time and how it affects us. So now I'm starting to consider, as much of a vlogger as I am, I should start recording this shit so that when something comes up, I can prove it to the person. Look at what you were doing. You were not paying attention to me. You were just, acknowledging, but you were not really grasping anything. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not invasive like that. I don't want to record people just to prove that I'm right. I let time do its thing. Although it would be wonderful to present that evidence to them, it's like, no, there is always some kind of a paper trail or something in the environment that lingers that helps to prove that such an exchange happened and what happened, things like that. So I want to go back to the days of how shit used to be resolved before we had ways of evidencing it like this. But for real, guys, that is something that I'm not able to handle anymore. This is something that I see it. It happens a lot. It's Lulu, and it infuriates me. And now I'm just letting my emotions take the reins because I've done this the polite, the kind, the nice way that characterizes me. But I'm thinking this hasn't fulfilled the the quest, which is, hey, you're having a problem, your attention span is severely affected, and at least I'm someone who's kind and patient. I can handle this, but just know that this is actually hurting me. Not my feelings, because you guys know I don't have any feelings, but more of, if we're if we had an accord to get something done, to discuss something, then I would hope that the moment that it starts happening, that's when the matter is addressed and resolved so that I can move on with my life and carry on. But your lack of investment is making that not possible. And now I just want to find the way to let go of the fact that I resent people doing that to me because of its consequences, and just somehow be patient about it and kind about it, because at the end of the day, it's not something that I feel I should let change my personality. But at some point, you're just tired, especially if you just had a long day and shit went wrong and you're dealing with things on the side, and now you're dealing with absent people. And when you bring it up, because it's been like years that they've been this way, they want to defend the thing that's wrecking their lives, their friendships, their relationships, their whatever the heck it is. Like the way you perceive the world. You want to defend your life with your device more than the people who are affected by it. You're a goddamn monster. That's all I have to say. And I'm the person who actually struggles with like empathy and emotions and feelings and love and all that. But I can point it out to you. So anyways, you guys, I don't want to like keep going because then it won't make as much sense anymore. But like at the same time, I do. But I think this is a good stopping place. So let's go greet everybody in the comments and see what you guys have to say. JP says, greetings, greetings. Art student says, hi. And I say, hi, since you included the smiling emoji. What did you say? I guess, do you mean what this matter is about? Like what happened? I saw your comment coming in, but I don't remember where I was at. But basically, this is just me, if you haven't pieced it together yet. It's just, I'm having to compete against people's cell phones for their attention, because people are more concerned about what goes on behind their little ass screens, as opposed to, hey, even if you see me with some frequency, I would hope that you respect the time we're spending together, but you don't. And I think that as we are, how can I phrase this? Some of us who like finished our education already, there wasn't such thing as a course on etiquette. Like, if you own a cell phone, make sure that you actually engage with the person who's present with you. You guys ever happen to go to a restaurant or try to go back to pre 2020? I know it's been 10 years, right? But do you guys ever notice people, whether they're couples or families with kids or whoever it is, you glance over at the next table and people are just glued to their fucking phones for the entirety of their visit. Like, you're not absorbing the atmosphere of the restaurant. You're not feeding your brain with anything that's outside of your phone. And I find that super sad. But yeah, it's gotten to a point where it's become like an addiction. It it feels like something that should be clinically addressed, but if you're someone who's going through school now, I'm thinking we need to have some kind of course that lets people know that this is a new form of a disease, and to identify when you're starting to have problems. Because like I said, there's people who I tell things to clearly, comprehensively, and all of a sudden they turn around and they don't get it. They didn't absorb anything. You're so used to reading your interactions that your listening skills are like suffering. And I try to go back and I'm thinking, what about my instructions was not clear? Or what about what I was saying was an incomplete thought? And I'm like, no, the problem is you. The problem is not, is that you're not here. And then I usually get my answers, because I'm always like, dear Lord, if I'm committing an injustice, let me know. And then the person may come back hours later and be like, oh, so I have this going on at home. My boyfriend or girlfriend is texting me about this and that. And I told him no. I told him yes. It's like, oh, you have this distraction in the back of your mind. I have pending conversations online, and I can tell you that when I'm at work, I'm like, okay, I'm at work, it's work mode. Nothing is going to pull me out of the building unless this building is about to be hit by a nader, or I don't know, something catastrophic, like a fire or something. But a lot of people, if you don't have like a constant update that happens in real time, you cannot bear to see a text message just sitting in your phone. I turn my phone all the way off when I'm at work. I've been doing it ever since I got hired. And mind you, when I got hired, I didn't even have a smartphone. And then when the smartphone arrived, I was like, okay, break, not bathroom break, just for my actual lunch break. Clock out, clocked in, it's gone, clock back out. What's so difficult about leaving that for when you're out of the clock? And that's why, depending on who you are, if you're someone who complains about, say, the company coming up with ways to like monitor your performance, I'm thinking, I hate that shit, because the computer does not talk about the things that happen on the side that may impact my productivity. But at the same time, I understand why such a thing would need to be implemented, because we need to be shown that we have discipline, and we're not fulfilling certain goals, meeting certain deadlines, hitting a certain target. So we need to come up with a solution. If the solution is invasive for your personal privacy, then I think you have earned it. I think you deserve it. Now, because of you, everybody has to pay the consequences. But if that's the goal that the people who make the rules have in mind, I'm thinking, shit, I'll have to take the punishment. But don't be the person who like complains about this new rule, because if you're upset about this new rule, it's because you're probably the person who commits the infraction. Whereas if you have done everything right, correctly, lawfully, and nothing shady, you don't have anything to worry about. Anytime they change the rules and something seems stricter, it never really affects me. But I find that the people who were not really like into the rules from the start, those are the ones who freak out the most. So yeah, I hate to say that, but that's one of the few instances in which I have to side with the devil a little bit and be like, well, yeah, if you cannot prove that you got things under control, then we gotta figure it out, you know? So monitoring you closely is the consequence. Jimmy says hello. Hello. Sega DC Universe says, hey, hey. Jimmy says, so far nothing of substance here in the comments. Honestly, no, because I think that you guys who are my regulars, and by regulars I mean only people, I think you guys like to listen to everything, and if I reach a good stopping place, that's when you intervene. Or if your name is Garuda Legends, which he is shining because of his absence right now, unless he just commented something, like he'll say something that's kind of related, but then it'll trigger a different thought, and then it's like I switch lanes and I go completely off topic for like an hour and then come back around and be like, by the way, so I'm going to try to tie this into what the topic is, but but yeah, usually it's a round of greetings, and then if I say something that really makes someone get all excited, they'll start commenting, and then I'll get to it 10 minutes later, and then I'm gonna be like, sorry, when did I say that? Do you remember what I was saying? Because I don't. People have difficulty looking in the mirror. The first thing to do is to be defensive. I know, right? I need to dedicate a video. I don't think I ever got around to it because it's one of those topics that I'm like so scared I'm going to get really emotional with. But I find that people's first reaction, it's almost like a reflex, is to get defensive. And after that, they get mad, their blood pressure goes up, and whatever the hell happens to a human when they get defensive. But then they'll go like, I'm not looking for a fight. I'm not trying to fight. I hate fighting. I hate arguments. And I'm like, look at me. Listen to me. But examine me closely. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I'm not yelling. I'm not giving you an attitude. I'm not being rude. Like, I'm not insulting you or using words or anything. I'm chill. I'm calm. I'm collected. Because, like, especially with the people who are close to me, it's like, you're very important to me. I love you. I'm here for you. You mean the world to me. Why on God's green earth do you think I would want to pick a fight with you? What makes you think that I really enjoy arguing? You are putting a label on me that does not correspond to me. You're saying that I'm angry when I'm not angry. It's you who's fucking angry. You're telling me that I'm very combative and that I'm argumentative and things like that. You are the one who got emotional and defensive about it. I was okay. I'm always willing to have a discussion, to explore the matter, have a deep conversation. You're the one who cannot handle it because of your emotions. So don't like don't blame me for your lack of control with your emotions. And that's why, you guys, I feel like that in a sense is something that we can blame on people's addiction to the phone, because when you're using a phone, you're not really seeing what kind of emotion the person is transmitting, unless this is someone who knows how to convey themselves very well through a message. I was told by my friend from back in high school that she could hear my voice through my emails. This was back in the good old days when we used to email each other because we had different schedules. And she was like, the way you write, your grammar, the your punctuation, the way that you even elongate the words. It's like I can hear you when you're writing. I cannot say I can do that for everybody. And I'm like, yeah, because I have to compensate for what's missing in our communication, which is my voice and my non-verbal language. So the best that I can do is use little symbols, which you go to school to learn about how to use them. But I find that we live in such a, like, we live an on the go kind of life that sometimes I've been told, oh, by the way, I got your message. I didn't reply to it because I was out. And then I got home and I forgot to reply to you, but about that, this and that. I'm not upset that you forgot to reply to me. I would much rather have this discussion in person, but it's still a little bit bothersome that some stuff gets lost in plain sight when it comes to communication. And there are times in which I'm grateful that something was written as opposed to said, because I like to whip out my phone and be like, read this shit that you wrote to me, elaborate. And then they're like, yeah, no, that's not what I meant at all, this and that. So not only are you bad at paying attention, but you're also bad at replying. You love to be on your phone, but when you reply to me, you give me a shitty ass reply. And it's not just the phone, it's like via email, you're using a computer. The other day, I got on my manager about some bullshit that he was telling me. And I'm like, can you explain to me what happened with this thing that you told me? Because this is what I interpreted, and I get a strong feeling, like almost a decade of us working together. I definitely feel that is not what you meant. And it was like, no, that's not what I meant. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So if I was not astute about it and be like, I recognize that this person, something isn't right. Like, let me approach them about it and request further clarification. God knows, maybe our bond right there would have been broken. A bond of almost 10 years would have gotten fucked up just because of a tiny misunderstanding that happened not even face to face. Most of my challenges with people happen like that, but the people who I have issues with when I'm speaking to them in person, when they get defensive, it's because they really are used to receiving most of their information from the phone. And when you do so much reading on your phone from different people, it's something that you have to be responsible with, because you just met somebody and you're automatically trying to piece together based on your preconceived notions, opinions, experiences, whatever. That stuff gets in your way, and you're thinking that if someone is having a political discussion and their point of view seems liberal, that that is all that defines that person. And that, to me, is tragic. Another example I can think of is, you guys know how we occasionally, like, especially Garuda, we make jokes about vegan people, and it's primarily how veganism seems like a religion now, or a cult. Being vegan has its benefits, it has its good intentions, but the thing about it that I don't want to say upsets me, but damages my perception a little bit is when I go on your profile and all I see is vegan posts. It's great that you're interested. It's great to be passionate about it. But you're letting that be the thing that defines you. So it's almost like because I am omnivorous, you and I cannot get along because of a dietary difference, which I know that if you're one of those vegans who's like more than just an eating lifestyle, it's about being better for the environment or whatever, even though some vegan habits can be more harmful to the environment. But you're letting that little dissent cost you a friendship, a potential acquaintance, and it's even costing you your peace because now your emotions are running rampant. And same thing with like political people. You have all over your profile that you're a Republican or that you're a liberal. You're letting that define you. It's okay to let yourself be known for the things that can potentially make you bias. But what concerns me is that you're letting that be what defines you in absolute terms. And then here I am, someone who's like carefree, unbiased, no strings attached. My biases, I can let them be known. And some of them, I'm like, I'm not well informed to have an opinion. I really do not have an inclination. I'm more neutral. Or I feel like I should be more inclined toward this because of uh, familial things, but in reality, my personal experience dictates that I'm more this and that. It's almost like someone adopts a way of thinking, and that is it. That's where they stay. And then, if you meet someone like me, someone who's flexible and open, I may sing to your tune and you gravitate toward me because of that. But then, the moment I express a little bit of dissent or something that dissents with the way you look at something, it's like you want to label me like I'm a fucking monster. And I have the video that I have that I need to review and finish like polishing with editing, that I haven't uploaded yet. It kind of goes over this a little bit, but I have to make yet another topic to flesh it out because it goes pretty deep. And it's crazy to me that we live in this culture of I need to be looking for someone who does not support my point of view, which is pretty righteous because, hey, I'm only advocating for, say, universal health care, universal basic income, little things like that. Let's talk about politics for a little bit. That's really good, ain't it? Free education, that's good stuff. Sure, it's good. I agree with you 100%. However, there are certain things that I am not okay with. Some aspects that require a little more discipline that I'm not sure people possess that I consider is important to possess because it builds your character, and building your character is important for ever changing life. Circumstances are always changing. You cannot allow yourself to break because the world and your life as you know it is changing and you don't know how to adapt outside of your comfort zone. That is when dissenting Zam comes out. If I hear you sticking to your guns too much, that's when I guess what you could label as combative, the side of me that really knows how to argue and I can keep going and you don't intimidate me and all that. I guess that's what may cause certain rifts, but I'm thinking at the end of the day, I don't want to upset you. I'm not trying to really change you. I just want you to see why my dissent exists. why it is possible that even if you have the best intentions, the best of intentions, the best idea, like you have this very good thing built up for you, I can find the cracks on it. Don't be mad that I, as someone who tends to have a perfectionist eye, if I can give you a heads up on something that can potentially bring you problems, I think that a real good friend, a real good family member, a real good girlfriend does that. So as opposed to getting mad that I'm like some people, they say, oh, that's probably your anxiety talking. I don't struggle with anxiety for years now because now I have learned to use what used to be my anxiety crippling me. Now I see it as a weapon because I understand what triggered it, but I was not understanding how to not let it control me. In other words, define me. I could have let my anxiety continue to define me, but that would have had negative consequences, which it was having. But then I identified the problem, I came up with a solution, I executed it, I'm evaluating it, and I'm like, it does work to not look at the world with an anxious mind. But during my time having anxiety, this stuff did help. It kept me safer. But now I have learned a method to practice it in a more healthy way, as opposed to in a way that completely took over my mind to the point that it would cripple me and I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to like go outside. I didn't want to wake up early. Things like that. So I don't know about you guys, but if you ever had a friend who's like that, like on top of things and they see things and don't stay quiet and they're like, hey, your idea is good, but this is what you could be doing better, please hold on to that person because until you lose them, you won't know just how good their influence was. And don't let 5, 10 minutes or possibly an hour a day of you being in a bad mood ruin that for you. And I feel like that's where I'm at. A lot of people are trying to come back to me after something like that happened. And I'm like, you're welcome here. The door is open. My arms are, you know, spread for you. But make sure that if you're coming back, you have learned. Because some people try to come back to be the same person they were. You haven't shown any growth. We're going to go back to the way things were. Not interested. So hopefully you guys are seeing what's happening, how much deeper this goes. The general course in etiquette for basic human interaction was kindergarten. Treat people the way you want to be treated. That is true. And now it's like, treat your phone the way that you want to be treated. It almost seems. Break time at work when everyone used to chat, now all are deep in their phones. I am guilty of not interacting a lot during break time, but 2 reasons. One, the C thing that goes around these days. But also, the people who I was tight with have quit or they have gotten a promotion, so they have left the premises and gone somewhere else. And you might say, well, this is your opportunity to meet new people. The only challenge with that is that the new people that we are hiring, we're having trouble holding on to them for more than a month. Like there's so little stability now that even if I were to start bonding with these people, once they leave, the quality of the bonding will decline. And even with some of the folks who I was tight with who have moved on to something else, I'm having a tough time bonding with them because their time is not the same. Their time zone is not the same for some of them. And that brings about challenges. And sometimes these people do to me what I accidentally do to other people, which is you text me, I see your message, the little red circle with the white number in the middle goes away. I don't reply immediately. And I'm like, oh, fuck. 3 days later, I'm like, sorry, I forgot about you. So I try to not make my silence awkward by just apologizing and being like, hey. So yeah, life has been a little wild, but when it's a text, it's usually that I legit forget the notification disappears. And now, since I'm just embracing my honesty, I tell people, so I'm so sorry, the notification symbol went away and I totally forgot about you. But if it's an email, I never bother with reading an email until I am ready to sit down and give it a reply. And if I cannot flesh out a reply, I'm gonna be like, hey, this is the disaster that's going on in my life. Hopefully, you can do some light thinking and be like, if this person is going through these type of challenges, more than likely she won't have time to sit down and give me a long gas reply or give me a phone call or something like that. You will be able to fill in that blank. But some people now, it's like you tell them, oh, I had a family member who was sick with the thing that's going around. And you all think that I'm away from work or away from home or something, and you all treat me like I'm on a vacation. What is wrong with you? Like, have you not been in tune with what it means for someone to be diagnosed with this thing? Like, recently I had someone super close to me who got the thing, and I had to be away. And people were treating me like I was on a vacation, even though they fucking knew what I was dealing with. And it was like, oh, so, what's up? Uh, what did you do? And I'm thinking, yeah, I was only playing nurse for someone who, like, could have died from this. No big deal. I think the better approach would be like, hey, I remember that you left because of this serious matter. How are you? How are things going? Is this person recovering? Is this person feeling better? How did it affect you? Anything like that. But you MFs be treating me like I came back from a vacation and you're just telling me like, oh, did you enjoy your time off? I told you what made me leave. It was a medical emergency. And you're asking me how was my time off? Oh, like like guys, for real. I'm trying to not get super emotional, keep it together. But that is literally the stuff I dealt with at some point, and that's when that courteous, proper, relatively educated, polite side of me just completely fucking vanishes. And I fail to live by my own standard, which is, hey, this is what I do. This is the kind of person I am. No matter what, nothing breaks me. But situations like that, especially if you're someone who's close to me and I have such regard for you, such a high regard for you, it's like unfairly, I have a higher bar set for you and then you fail. And even as socially awkward as I am in person, I wouldn't do that. And I lack common sense with socializing. But then you do that to me, and it's like, fuck you. I feel betrayed. But at least I have learned to really give people a break because I know how shit is going for me. But I don't know about them, especially if this is someone who has a tough time speaking about what goes on in their lives. I'm not someone who pries, but that's why I encourage people to talk more about their things, about their issues, whether you're happy, whether you're angry, whether you're sad. Let people know where you're at. Keep someone relatively updated, and that way when something happens, someone can vouch for you. The other day, one of my supervisors missed some of her shifts. Missing a shift and not reporting yourself is a big deal. So I told upper management, hey, the last time I worked with this person seemed stressed out, overwhelmed, extra tired. Even their skin looked different. Their eyes were like zombie. It's like you're here, but you're not here. So it's possible that this person got sick, or it's possible that they were just worn out and they didn't check the schedule, things like that. I could say that, and I felt confident about saying that because I have observed this person. I work closely with this person, and usually the things that someone says before they like disappear, those last few things, few interactions, usually tell a tale of what possibly happened to them. So I dared to tell upper management that that was my theory. Our person showed up, and what happened? Almost exactly what I said was what's happening. Oh, it turns out that I was very fatigued, and on the first night, I didn't check the schedule, so I overslept. And then the second day, I just felt like I was still carrying that stress. Like I just had a tough day, even though I stayed in at home. But then by the third day, it was more of, I think I'm physically sick as well. I'm not sure if it's because of my burnout, fatigue, overwhelmed, whatever, but I'm not well. And everything was resolved. So I was able to drop that hint, and that makes me so fucking proud because I would hope that if I were the one to go missing, someone out there can vouch for me. Hey, Zam was fucking out of it. She wasn't making sense. She was stuttering more than usual. She looked tired. She was making mistakes. She was tripping. She was complaining a lot, or whatever characteristics I give away, and it's not a normal day for me because that's usually not who and what I am. I would hope that someone can speak up and say that about me. And then when I show up, it's like, yeah, that's what happened. I can corroborate that. That is a fucking friendship to be proud of. But I feel like these days we have normalized being fatigued and all those things, that when something happens to someone, we don't even have the skills to like vouch for this person, you know? And that's why I feel like relationships these days, not just like romantic ones, but work ones, family ones, we're all lost in our own little world, and we have forgotten how to people, put it that way. Let's see. Where am I at? Okay. Break time at work. But yeah, lately I have been guilty of using my phone a little more often during my break time, especially if I have long shifts because I want to get back to any correspondences or inquiries from my little business. And then when I get home, spend as little time as possible doing that because otherwise something won't get done. And honestly, I want to retake my hobbies. Like, I don't even get to make daily videos anymore. I never thought I would stop making daily videos. This is something that's important to me since I don't journal anymore. And it's important to be able to do something outside of your routine, like your hobbies. I don't mind my hobbies defining me, for sure, because they are healthy hobbies. But if I go a long time without really indulging in them, and when I do, I'm guilty, feeling guilty about spending the time indulging in my hobbies, and then I'm not really enjoying my time, that's when my, I guess, depression risks coming back. So lately, I have been forcing myself, no matter what, to work on a hobby. If it's not the channel, at least I definitely know I won't be getting back to art anytime soon, but at least go out and look at things, drive somewhere, get lost, take a different route to see something new, you know, since I like to drive. But damn, it's taking so much effort from me to do that, and it makes me feel like a monster. Your solution is to make a video of yourself saying what you want to say to the person and then send them a link to it, and then they'll pay attention to it. You know, when it comes to real life people, there's only 4 people who are actively aware. 5. 5 people. 6 people who are actively aware that I actually make a channel, and like 4 of them are co-workers. But they 3 of those people found the channel incidentally. It was because maybe the algorithm suggested something to them that they had searched for, and maybe it realized that I'm local, or we have been at the same location or something, and the video was suggested, but they were like, "Can you confirm this is you?" And I'm like, "Do you need me to? I mean, my fucking name is yes." So then that's when I'm like, spirit over matter, spirit over matter. And then I go, yes, because that's when sarcastic me wants to come out. You see me, you see the scar, you see the hair, you see the glasses, you see the gap in the teeth, you see the skinny hands, you hear the voice, and is that you? That, my fellow Americans, I'm assuming everybody in the comment section is American, is a stupid question. It is a stupid question. Like, my name is right there. And even though it's not exactly my real name, it is a fucking close second. But that's when I remind myself, the person is probably bad at starting a conversation. They want to be like, "Hey, I found you online." So as opposed to saying something like, "Hey, I found your channel. How come you didn't tell me about it?" They go like, "Is this you?" Even though you know it's me, that's your way of starting the conversation. And you guys, it took me a long ass time to learn to be that way, because I always wanted to be incredibly sarcastic about it. But then I tried to exit my realm, exit my world, and be like, even though this person knows in the bottom of their heart that it's me, just answer the question. Like, "Yeah, cool, you found it. That's awesome." I never said anything because I want for people to consume my channel because you genuinely stumbled upon it and were interested. I don't like to give myself self-promotion because I feel like it's a form of idolatry, and that is kind of against my religion. But also, that's the reason why here on the channel, even though I have a somewhat of an opportunity, I haven't told you guys what my website is for you to find like the clothes that I sell. I'm pretty sure I could because I sell men clothes as well. But if you're going to buy something and consume something, I want you to think it up, and then potentially something might happen to where you find it and you buy it from me. But it's not me putting something on your face that tempted you into consuming it. Whether it be because you want to support me, whether it be because you didn't know that this thing existed and that stimulated you into wanting it. To me, living under the grip of consumerism is something that's just disgusting to me. So that's not the kind of person I want to be. And again, even though I know that I am like imposing a limit on my business by depriving it of promotion, and competition is fierce in the online world, you got to compete against Amazon, eBay, all these little sites. I don't care. I am grateful for whatever little bit it is that I receive. I very humbly take it and accept it. But I don't want to be that person who's like, "I got goals to fulfill. I got but it needs money, and I need you to help me achieve it. I need you to like sign up for my Patreon and give $5 or whatever it is that Patreon does. I remember creating one, but it was like back in 2016, and I'm like, I cannot imagine a life in which I'm using this. So I don't even know which email I associate it with it. But that's just the kind of person I am. So in real life, I only told my mom and my boyfriend that I was starting this thing. And I supplied them with the link in case they were curious. They don't watch it. I don't care. And then the people who have found it, who know me in person, do they watch it? I don't think so. Because the other day, one of these people was asking me, do you still vlog? Do you still make videos? Are you indirectly asking me for the link? Or do you just not care about checking? Or did you just randomly remember and you want me to confirm or deny if I'm doing it or not? So that's the part of me that I'm saying I have trained myself to have that kind of patience, because I know the kinds of questions that I ask people, and if I know the answer to a question, or if I have a means to find out the answer to a question, I exhaust that before occupying the person, asking them that. Or say, are you on Facebook? Check my Facebook. If you see no updates, logical conclusion is I am not. Or I am a silent audience. But I believe that I make it very clear and say it pretty often that I'm not on Facebook. I go there for my pictures. I need a place to save my thousands of photos. So I use this as like a virtual photo album to free up space on my phone. But me personally, I value self-reliance. So if I can find the answer to my question, I will go to the very end of not asking you before I ask you. So I just wish people would do that a little more often. Just like calling a place to see if they're open. Are you open? Even though you're dialing from the smartphone that I know you have because I recognize your voice, and you know that we live update the schedule, but you're still calling. Okay, whatever. But yeah, you guys, that's just really the person I am, and I'm just happier being that way. Where am I at? Years ago at the church I used to go to, they offered a course in self-confrontation because it is so difficult for us to truly examine ourselves, but that's how we actually make progress in life. I am working on being more self-aware, but it's interesting because self-awareness may not necessarily mean what you think it means. The way I have been shown the way of self-awareness is more of, sure, you're admitting to your shortcomings, but it's not all about the things that you're bad at. It's, you may also be aware of your potential in something, but you're not using that to look down on other people who may not be exactly at your level. And for me personally, I can be pretty arrogant about that type of thing. Shit, this whole channel is probably one massive arrogance trip for me because especially the ones that I make where I kind of criticize people and I'm like, why are you making such terrible decisions? Like, for instance, why are you having a kid when you don't know what it's like to have a kid in modern days? Don't even try until you find things out. And what triggered that was I saw a woman in one of my social networks. I think it was Facebook or Twitter, one of those. And she was like, I'm really tired of my hair falling out after I gave birth. When does it end? What can I do to stop it from falling? And I'm thinking, you don't know that a baby changes your hormone levels? You don't know how your hormone levels affect your hair growth? You don't know how the stress of a pregnancy... First of all, during the pregnancy, you have the most epic hair you could ever wish for. But then afterward, that hair that kind of artificially sprouted has to just go somewhere. because it's not really a part of you. It was like, there's something else called gestational diabetes, which is something that only lasts for the duration of your gestating baby, you know? But people don't know that. They're not aware of that. And I'm thinking, why are you having kids if you don't have at least a little bit of an idea of what you're getting into? So that's the part of me where, as someone who has been isolated for a long time, alone with her thoughts, I have had a lot of time to observe and think. I cannot expect for other people who have not had the same pacing of learning as I have had to be there with those matters. And I am someone who's genuinely interested in a little bit of everything. So when you become, let's say, multi-talented, where you can sustain a conversation even if it's not very deep, you have an idea because you've heard of something, then you kind of want to hold other people up to that same standard. But the difference is that if you guys talk to me about fictional things like movies, books, I suck at that. Whereas other people can talk to you for hours about comic books, movies, music. You know that music, it may be an autobiographical work, but other times it's just nothing but fantasy. So that type of thing, I suck at. But other people are great at that. And I'm thinking, if only you put that effort that you put into things that really don't enrich your life, because it's exclusively fictional, but it's not the kind of fiction that really teaches you much. Like, say, the X-Men. We know the X-Men is pretty much about people's prejudice. So, okay, cool. This thing teaches you a great theme, but how is knowing the detail of how, I don't know, Storm may outclass, I don't know, someone random, Kitty Pryde, how is that debate going to benefit you? I don't mind people having fun, but I need for your fun to be regulated a little bit, because you're spending too much time invested in this thing while the rest of life flows and moves on and you're staying behind. So that is the only time I discourage people from being too absorbed with entertainment. I'm not against it, but I'm just saying, hey, at some point you have to recognize that this is taking up too much of your time. And it's not a very good thing if you're struggling with these other things as well. Like, especially if you're a parent. If you're a parent, you just have to accept that your life, your time is just not the same anymore. You have to sacrifice that, but some people are not willing to do that. You want to have a kid, and okay, the kid exists, but you want for the flow of your life to somehow be the same. And if it's not the same, you're resentful with the rest of society or the rest of the community if they're not there to support you because you made this decision. That's when I dissent, and I'm like, as much as I'm pro healthcare, pro people getting extra money, pro raise the minimum wage, pro this and that, what's the point of implementing those things if people are still going to make decisions that will keep them in a position of struggle? And I cannot speak about success because, at least financially, I am nowhere near that status. But at least I can say I don't have anything hindering me, except maybe my mind sometimes. But at least I'm happy. I'm not out here begging for people to support me. Like, say, I'm not telling you guys in the channel, make sure that you subscribe and you share this on every single social network, because it's important for me to become successful at this thing, because I like to be at home and this is how I want to make my income. It's like, no, if God blesses me or curses me with like enough YouTube fame to make a living off this, then fantastic. I have earned it, I guess. But that's what I'm saying. People in the real life, it's like you're demanding for the field to be leveled for you because it shocked you that this is the way that your life is and you didn't plan for it. Another example I can think of is people who love moving to Florida. Sure, move to Florida. Year round warm weather. I hope that you like hurricanes. And then people all want to like evacuate and leave their place. And they're like, well, I like it here, but I really hate the weather. Well, same thing. Why you shouldn't live in like Tornado Alley, you know? It's a bad thing. So don't go out there where there are a lot of tornadoes. So that's what I'm saying. Do your research and determine sincerely if this is the right thing for you. I'm not trying to tell people stop being parents, but recognize that modern days are unfairly difficult. Are you willing to handle that? And make sure that if you say yes to that question, when you do what you gotta do to make that happen, don't complain. I don't want to hear it because we were telling you about it, but you still went ahead and did it. And for some reason, we are the evil people if we don't want to, say, support you with babysitting or paying for your bills. Sure, I'm a believer of the whole village raises a newborn child, right? But if you can accept and understand that the modern days do not support that, that is something that you should work on re-implementing, but in an executable manner, then maybe having a kid is not a good idea. That's what I'm trying to say. Just be a little more responsible about the decisions that you're making. So on my end, even though I'm not satisfied with where I'm at least I am happy within these circumstances to where the situation that we're living through right now affected me like at a bare minimum. It wasn't until someone close to me got affected by it that I'm like, this is going to change my life for a little bit. And now we're like back in track. But that was only possible because I didn't have, say, children to look after or insane debts because of things that I know I don't need or shouldn't have, but I still insist on wanting and having and owning and signing up for. So within my circumstances, I'm making the best decisions possible that I also feel happy with. So I'm not trying to trade my happiness and sacrifice it just to get a little bit ahead with something. I'm miserable in the moment, but I'm pushing through, pretending everything is okay, and then I'm a ticking time bomb. No. That's why you guys get a pretty consistent version of myself. No matter what I'm going through, you guys can be like, oh yeah, she's pretty much been the same all these years. Let's see. Hey, so long since I've been around. It's great to listen to you again. Well, good to see you, and thanks for stopping by. Jim Gaffigan has a routine where he talks like he's someone talking to someone else who eats at McDonald's, and he says, oh, I didn't know I'm better than you. That's the vegan attitude. Interesting. Do you guys ever go around life just playing scenarios of what you think a discussion with someone might be like, only for you to actually get around to that discussion and it's not what you expected at all? Sometimes you think this discussion is only going to be like a 30-second discussion, and then it turns into like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, or vice versa. You think this is going to be really deep. I got to be prepared. I got to set aside the time for it. And then it's like, okay, done. Nah. Yeah. Cool. Game. You know, like, what happened? My over preparation. But I always told myself, just be prepared for any potential circumstance. Don't leave your house in a hurry. And at the same time, plan to not be out for that long, because you just never know what can happen out there. Totally agree. I enjoyed this so much about you. It's key to be flexible and carefree in our approach with others. And trust me, it is very easy for me to project myself in such a way here on the channel, but I know that I totally failed to live up to that in my real life interactions. At least I'm just proud that I'm able to acknowledge that A, that's something I struggled with, and B, that that is something that should be done. And it just helps to have met people who understood who I am and what I am, and most important most importantly, supported me, tolerated me, even if it wasn't like, hey, I love you for it. It's like the perfect balance. I have met the perfect person to teach me the perfect lesson at the perfect time. And I am really hoping that everybody who has crossed my path, I have been able to learn what I was intended to learn from them. Because no matter how insignificant you think an interaction is, no matter how mundane you think it is, something lurks there. And I have become really good at tuning into that. It's kind of like the radio. If you're trying to listen to a radio station, you won't be able to tune into it unless you set your device to the appropriate frequency. That's what I've been learning. I've been learning to set myself to the appropriate frequency to be able to tune in to the lessons that people can teach me, even if they're not actively trying to teach me something. Something meaningless that you might say today, 2 days from now, it'll be a key for me to realize something. And it's happened to me so often lately that sometimes I wonder, is it a coincidence? Is it an accident? Am I just more aware of it because it's something I talk about on the channel or with my friends? But I'm like, nah, it's a skill. It really is a skill because years ago, I had no idea. I was completely unaware of such a thing. By the way, love your glasses and braids. First of all, thank you. But second of all, what is up with people complaining me on my messy hair today? like, not complaining me, complimenting me on my hair today. Because today, while I was at work, without kidding you, I got like 5 people telling me, I love your hair. I love your hair. And when it comes to my glasses, at least a couple times a month, I get someone telling me that they really like my glasses. And I remember my old ones, and sometimes I'm like, I miss my old ones. But these ones have a bigger lens, so I see more things now. But also, I feel like they just fit me better. And the first time I got them, I thought, oh my God, I've made a mistake. I hate them. But nah, I like them. So thanks for the compliment, because it's not that I have like self-esteem problems, but sometimes I'm dealing with something that a compliment helps me break away from. So, so nice of you. If I could see you, I'm sure I could say something nice about you too. It's kind of awkward that you hear compliments from people you don't see and you don't know what they look like. So, but yeah, it's cool. Is that a Japanese flag on your wall? Yes, that is a Japanese flag on my wall. And it's not technically my wall, it's more of my brother's wall, because this is actually his room, but he's been away, and this is the place that gets the best lighting for right now. So my room is an absolute mess. I kind of miss it because I liked having my pictures as my background, but I don't think I'll be back in that room for a long time. Definitely indefinite, because I have so much going on there. It's become like my business room. So I decided to use this room for like my hobbies, sleeping, and I guess vlogging here and there. But my actual real personal room, it looks like a boutique. There's like stuff everywhere. So that's why I don't film from there anymore. It's a very good point. I live alone and I'm retired, so it's good to have someone who knows me and can check up on me now and then. Also, for me to check in with them, even if I live far away. UK here, so no. Hello, Magismo. And you just helped me realize that my UK centered comment moderator is shining for being absent. Or maybe he's being that person who's like the silent watcher. But what's the point of my moderator not being here? Not that this comment section needs to be moderated, because I know nobody here, right? Like, it's only a handful of you guys, and you guys are like well behaved. But the reason I say that is because when you set someone as moderator, at least as of a year ago, they have like blue text in their name and a little like, what is it? A screwdriver symbol or a wrench of some sort? It's some kind of tool symbol. So I was just wondering if he's still moderator or if he's just not moderating. Anyways. So you have a legging site. Leggings are not my primary product. They're not selling very well, I must say, because honestly, the brands that I have are like the trash brands. But I want to say that the thing I sell the most of are, it's hard to tell, man, because like every season is so different. Of course, since we were in the winter season, it was more like long sleeve shirts, especially sweaters. Like my sweaters, I had this one ugly ass sweater. It was like gray with yellow flowers in it. And I kid you not, I listed it, and within 4 minutes, it sold. And sometime in October, I want to say, I listed this hoodie that had 7,000 holes in it. But I was like, hey, it's in good condition. It would be best for someone who needs a hoodie that can be sacrificed. I listed it for like $3 or something, and I said, don't pay attention to the price, but I'm pretty sure that this would be useful for someone who needs a good hoodie, but for like doing things that could potentially get it ruined. It sold immediately. Like, I push the listing button and it was gone. And another time, it was these little joggers. They had like a tiny hole on the right leg. And, I disclosed that. I was like, hey, it has this little defect, but they're incredibly comfortable and whatnot. It sold within 10 minutes of me listing it. And I'm always wondering, why is it that my pieces of trash sell so much faster? And then jackets, they're not doing super well. Like this season, I want to say I only sold like 4, and I have quite a few, both men and women. And when it comes to pants, I have about, I want to say I have like 12 pairs listed. Not a fucking one has sold. But then again, it doesn't help that the brands that I have are not like the fancier ones. Like, I hear of this brand that I've never personally worn before, but it's called True Religion. That mess flies. Like, it's always trending. And another brand that sells super well is American Eagle, but only this year did some of my American Eagle stuff finally start selling. And one of them was like a little jacket, and the other one was like a sweater that's like a shawl kind of neck. So it was good to see it go because it's kind of like puffy, so it was taking up a lot of space. But yeah, I wish I could tell you what's doing well, but it's difficult. Every day is different. And I don't always make a sale every single day, but the things that I would think would fly off my hands, they're there. They've been there for like a year now. But they're getting attention. It's just people aren't really buying it. But little by little, they're all getting sold. So yeah. Men's clothes. I have three shorts that I can recall listed, and it was from when I was a teen and I was in high school and I used to play basketball. I used to wear ball shorts pretty much. Um, and no leggings at the time. Believe it or not, I don't think I even owned a pair of leggings when I was in high school. So I had a sad fashion life back then. I always opted for sweatpants because I didn't want to wear fitted clothes because I didn't want to like show my body shape. Not that I was like fat or like too skinny or ugly or anything like that. It's more of I felt like that was showing too much for an educational setting. So I felt like wearing things that did not bring attention to me, put it that way. So I always wore sweatpants with oversized jackets or oversized shirts. Absolutely never wore sandals. I always wore tennis shoes. And of course, no makeup. So anybody who thinks of me back in my high school days would probably be like, damn, Zam, like, you're actually okay looking. Whereas back then, you used to not care about your hair. You would always wear it tied. And if you wore it loose, it was such a rare sight. I'm telling you, I can vaguely remember a day in high school I wore my hair loose. It was probably after the gym. I would take a shower and then let it dry, and that was it. But nobody can say, oh, Zamara was like incredibly the hottest person in the school. Not at all. It would be insane. If someone said that, they would be lying because I did everything to not like bring attention to myself, you know? So I would be mind blown if someone told me that they had like a crush on me the whole time and that they think that with age I have gotten a little better. I'm like, what? You know? Shit. but but yeah, um that's why when I kind of reluctantly acted on a friend's advice to start selling things, I told myself, you're asking me, someone who has zero fashion sense, and I don't buy from good brands, and I don't honestly wear anything fancy. You're asking me to sell clothes? And now, like over 100 sold items later, I'm like, wow. Like, I never thought that I would be able to sell something to someone, especially if I'm not promoting this stuff. You know, it's not like I'm going around to my friends going like, hey, how do you feel about this shirt? You wear color shirts a lot. Is this your color? But I have developed a good eye for that because I have sold to people I know in person things that I was actually wearing. I'm like, oh, so you like my sweater? What if I told you you can have it for $4 and I paid 12 for it? And literally, I remove it off my back and I'm like, I can wash it for you and bring it back at a later time. And they're like, you've only been here for like 10 minutes and it's cold outside. You're not sweating. I'll take it. And I'm like, for real, Z's? For real, Z's. Never thought I would sell something to someone outside of Girl Scout cookies and, of course, my job as a customer service clerk. Like, sure, people will bring things through the register for me to like scan for them, but it's not my personal stuff selling. It's pre-established. It's a company, my job to get this done for them, check them out. But yeah, you guys, if you ever see me getting really excited and jittery about my stupid clothing selling, it's because it means a lot to me that in something that I am unskilled at, such as fashion, especially the vocabulary to describe what the hell I'm selling. And somehow I have been able to make it past the 100th mark. That's a big deal for me because it reinforces in me that you won't know what you can do until you try. And I used to be someone who used to think that if you're a prodigy at something, that's something that you should stick to, and that's it. Sticking to your guns. And I have learned to not stick to my guns. And same thing with the channel. The way that the channel happened was I told a friend of mine something about I always enjoy watching what people do on YouTube. Some people talk, some people go out and they record their interactions with someone they just met, or they go like, hey, I want to try this makeup and let you know what I think. Even though I don't wear makeup, I like to admire the technique people have, and it's a form of art. And you guys know that I draw, so hey, I can see someone applying art to their skin. That's something I cannot do. And also the potential of you meeting people who can change your life. And I honestly never thought that I would have any views on my channel, because I looked at it as it is a very competitive sea of people looking for attention, and I'm the absolute opposite. I do whatever I can to not bring attention to myself. But all of a sudden, I recorded two little videos that brought traffic to me, and I thought, I'm not sure how I can handle this. This was a mistake. I can't do this. But then I said, no, it's not a mistake, because this is forcing me to step out of my comfort zone. And the comment section used to intimidate me so much, not just mine, but other people's channels, because I knew that some people were going to be kind, but some people were going to be mean. And the people who presented themselves as mean were the ones who worried me. But then I always think now that the people who are mean, dissenting, trolls, whether they're severe about it or like just harmless about it, I'm thinking I gotta have a bias for these people, because they helped me develop a sense of humor in me that I didn't think I would have. And this weekend, I'm not sure if I've told you guys, I probably haven't, but the royal family has been trending a lot. But one of the trends was about Prince Philip, and people have been picking on this old man about, him being old, but someone came up with the brilliant idea of turning it into a game and being like, what are some things that could potentially end Prince Philip? And I thought, that is mean. Like, how do you play with someone's life and well-being? That's like proper Zam coming out. But then when I started reading the comments, the tweet that changed my life was someone screenshotting a Spotify playlist and indicating that those would be the songs that could end him instantly. And some of the songs are by someone named Sophie. And the best thing about it is that the songs that played were exactly as I imagined. I thought this is going to be kind of like those electronic, heavy, like computerized songs that no instrument can really produce. Like you need to take a computer and alter some sounds to achieve that. I said, this is probably going to have like a high bass, really high pitches, something like that. And to see that what I imagined was actually surpassed by this playlist with music that I would have never considered going for. And that's been my music for the whole weekend. And all the way through today, I'm thinking, wow, once again, I stopped sticking to my guns. I would have never clicked on that trend had this happened 5 years ago. Because I'm like, man, people are mean about this old person. Who cares what their political significance is, whether he's a nice person or a mean person? Like, you just don't mess with old people. But now I'm thinking, this entertained me. This made me laugh. And it's really not hurting anybody. The only people it's hurting is the people who are thinking like I used to think, which is I want to find the offense in that. Do you think Prince Philip is going to find out about this trend? Probably not. Nobody's going to tell him about it. He's not going to be scrolling through Twitter looking at this. So while it can be dangerous to set that precedent up of, hey, let's sort of make a bullying topic about these people, it's about being able to step out of your realm and indulge in something that other people happen to find entertaining as well, but also understand what makes it entertaining. Because a long time ago, I used to think that trolls needed to be like, ban them all. Like they needed to stop existing. Everybody's IP address needed to be tracked down and blocked. But then I said, the reality of it is that the job that I have at customer service, I meet people who treat me terribly. It will continue to happen. Abuse toward customer service reps is not going anywhere, whether it is deserved, called for, uncalled for, it will happen. So as opposed to me looking for a safe space and being like, no, I cannot run customer service because I run the potential of someone offending me, the more used I get to it, the happier I am, because now I can go home and anybody at home who like treats me bad, I have tolerance for that, and I can very calmly look at them in the eye and being like, I will come back to you when you calm down. And I get up and I leave. There is no way I would have done that years ago, with my concern about being polite and proper and shit. Now I'm like, no, you troll me, I will troll you back 20 times worse, you know? And it's those things that help me realize that, hey, I'm growing and I wish it would have happened sooner, but at least I'm enjoying the process as opposed to being like, well, it's funny, but I gotta feel guilty about finding it funny. Ultimately, that's what's right. So, no, I cannot enjoy this. I cannot indulge in this. Like, no, let it go. Like, embrace your inner troll. We all have fucked up thoughts. So, as long as you don't act anything out that will harm somebody or like put you at risk or in trouble or something, having a laugh over something dumb someone does in the internet is no big deal. All right. And I used to think that it was a big deal. But I think that's possible because I'm able to live my online life online and I don't bring that shit to the real world unless there's something I want to share. Like with my boyfriend, sometimes I'm like, hey, I saw this really stupid joke online. Check it out. He looks at it. We both laugh. He may say, that reminds me of da 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 da. And then I look up da 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 da. And I'm like, I would have never looked this up on my own. Thanks for mentioning it. Now I discovered a new good anime or cartoon or theme song or whatever the fuck. So that's what I'm saying. I used to stick to my guns. And because I don't, my world has expanded a little faster than I'm able to keep up with. But what matters is I am happier. And now I have people who I try to interact with online who come to me and tell me that I'm the one who gets offended when I get called out on something that they disagree with me on, but they don't elaborate. I will probably screenshot all of that and just throw it in a video. Probably not even make any comments on it because I leave pretty good lengthy replies, but just to share with you guys. where that's coming from. But yeah, I used to be that person, especially in male dominated channels, for example. Like, I would see men roasting each other, and I'm like, man, that poor guy, he's being bullied. But then when I thought about it critically, I'm like, nah, he's fine. You know, he's enjoying it. I have learned that that's actually something that I can appreciate, because I was that friend in high school who I would greet my friends with like an insult sometimes, and roasting each other was the way that I would bond with those people. But men, from what I have observed online and some interactions at work in person, the way that you guys bond seems to be by roasting each other, whether it be you're present for it or it happens behind your back and then you find out and the drama continues. You guys don't get offended by that. I don't see you breaking down. I don't see you being all emotional about it. I don't hear you talking about you broke up with your spouse or something over something stupid like that happened. But then online, we got the other side of the field acting like that mess is toxic. And I'm thinking, but bitch, have you tried it? Have you tried to understand why these people are cool with that? Why these people are happy being that way? You're always thinking about how some people bond better than others and how they're so tight, but you don't go through the process of getting there. That is something that you establish. Or perhaps just look at it as your personality is not compatible with these people. If these people are loud and they have fun and they buy each other gifts, don't be jealous of that shit. You don't know how many years that took. Or shit, maybe these two people began to bond because they had a fight in the past, but they were able to repair that, and that's what united them. Why do you have to think for people but also be wrong about your thoughts about people? You think that someone is being emotionally hurt when they're just playing, but you want to be out here talking about how that type of thing breaks people. It only breaks the people who don't speak up against it. If this people was being bothered by getting roasted by their peers, I'm pretty sure they would have taken action by now. That's how it works. But that's the part of me that has kind of stayed the same, but I had to train myself for that because I always wanted to be there and jump for the person who for some reason was not defending themselves. But I learned to study what was happening, study the environment, and be like, nah, it's just harmless. But I have also met people who say, if this is happening at work, they're like, you have to remain professional. It's important that you remain professional at all times. That is like taking away your authenticity. How are you supposed to be making friends if you're not able to let go of the whole professional facade? You know, do you go home and express yourself professionally to your children, your spouse, your family? No, nobody does that. But if that's what you want, then you need to find more people who are like you and leave those of us who are not like you alone. Why is that so hard for you? I used to be the kind of person who wanted to sort of interfere with those things and be like, well, this is how you should be everywhere you go. And I'm thinking, no, man, let people be who they are, especially when the setting allows them to. Because nothing sucks more than being deprived of who and what you really are, just because you're living under someone else's rules. So that is something that I was able to learn because I stepped out of my comfort zone. And that's why I like to serve as a testimony that it is important for you to consider doing that. I cannot tell you you have to do that. But if you're finding yourself not enjoying yourself too much in social settings, it's probably a you problem and not a the people around me problem. Even the people who I had my most severe disagreements with, I can be around them and I have something to learn from them. So, anyways, I just had to ramble away about that because, yes. Uh, the Astro Buddhist says, I love you, Zamri. That's nice. I don't get told that I'm loved very often. Thank you. I would never move to Florida. I have only been to Florida twice. One time it was to land at the Miami airport, and I was like so small, I don't remember. So, like, I shouldn't even count that. And then another time was January 2018, January or February, it doesn't matter. 2018, I went to West Palm Beach and I hung out around the airport area. It was kind of a touch and go type of deal, but I had to stay overnight. So I did some light exploration of the surrounding area, but then I said, shoot, I'm by myself. I can't be doing that. So so I pretty much went back to the terminal as soon as possible. The braids are great and your glasses too. It is nice to have hair that's long enough for me to braid it like this because at some point, if I trim it too short, if I try to braid it, I have to use like something to tie it with, and I can actually get away with not tying it. So hair is at perfect length right now. Probably next month I should consider just trimming the split ends, which I don't have that many split ends. I'm surprised, but it's probably because I've been taking a little bit better care of it. But yep, so I'll try to vary up what I do with my hair because sometimes I get bored of it. You really have become a beautiful woman. I've been watching you for several years now, and you become more and more beautiful each year. You know what, Dan? First of all, thank you so much for the kindness, but I keep seeing your name, and I feel so bad because I feel like I've seen you, but I don't remember you. Who are you, Dan? Did you have a different name or a different picture? Because I swear, I know I've seen you, but I don't immediately remember who you are, and that makes me feel so bad. It's one of those things where I don't see you guys in person, I don't hear your voices, and I'm that person who you tell me what your name is, and unless we become tight, I can see you tomorrow and be like, yeah, hi. You told me that your name is I don't know, Paul, and I'd be calling you Peter. Or I'd be having mistaken identity with people. Like, aren't you so and so? Oh, fuck, you look alike, you know? So I know we have had very great conversations in the past, but I cannot piece it together right now. So I'm sorry, but thank you for being around. I'm so glad you've been a loyal, I don't want to say fan, but a loyal audience member. And yeah, just tell me more about yourself. Because I've been trying to do better about my online acquaintances, but I feel so bad that I don't remember you. Let's see. It's difficult to do that. I have that problem, especially if it's not something that's really exercised. It can become really difficult for you to constantly practice such a thing. So, yeah, just be patient with yourself. I taught myself to be patient with myself back in like 2017. That was the thing I wanted to work on the most. I said, my goal for this year is to learn to be patient with myself. And that's everything about me. The things I'm good at, the things I'm bad at, the works in progress, everything. And I want to say that's when my mentality really started to change. And I mean, change for the better. I was able to start letting go of the things that I was really clinging on to that were really not doing me any good, but I couldn't identify that they were not doing me any good because I couldn't see how it was that it was affecting my life and limiting me, you know? So that's when I guess I had to give myself a dose of sincerity. Like, hey, you're not on the wrong path, but you're hindering your progress. And it's so hard as someone who used to write a lot, and I'm pretty loquacious, so I don't have a tough time expressing myself. That is one of those things that I really cannot put into words. Like, how did it happen? When did it happen? I can sort of explain what was going on at the time that helped me develop that, I guess, but I really, really don't like the fact that I cannot draw it or put into exact words how it happened. It's one day you wake up, you encounter those situations where you're put to the test, you pass, and you don't even realize it until someone makes a comment about your personality, and you're like, yeah, this, wait, what? When did I learn that? How did I learn that? Well, I remember that I was struggling with this back in so and so, and then this happened. I changed? What? Well, what? So that's the part of me that I wish I could document a little better. Those evolutions. It's like when you're growing. You remember when you started getting taller, when your voice started changing, when your body started changing, but it's such a gradual process that, especially if it's relatively free of symptoms, except for that, hey, I can reach stuff now without a step ladder or something, you just don't see it, and you try to give advice to someone. You want to prove to someone that, hey, stuff will get better, but you really don't have anything to prove it with. And I'm one of those people who I love to speak with evidence. And when I don't have it, I become obsessed. But yeah, just be patient with yourself. It's okay. I live in Minnesota. My only contact has been here on YouTube. We have only had our conversations here. Okay. Right. There's really, let's see, one, two, three. There's four of you who I actively recall giving my email to. And I can only think of one of you who's actively emailing me these days, but it's because you seem to be the only person I really replied to. But yeah, here in the channel, if you guys ever change your picture, you lost me. And there are some people who used to hang out here because I used to stream more toward noon Eastern time. And then my life just changed and I cannot count on that schedule anymore. So some of you guys either lost me to the algorithm, or I miss you because some people say, ah, man, I missed the stream by 30 minutes, by 1 hour, so on and so forth. So I've been sort of trying to start streaming at random times, but sometimes I don't even make videos at all. So I'm going to try to at least once per week on my days off stream closer to the morning time, and see, for those of you guys who have like a severely different time difference, then hopefully we can catch each other and, what is it, reestablish that online bond that we have. Especially you guys who leave me really invested comments. I have set my channel to, and it doesn't always do this, but hold for review comments. It's not because you guys are writing anything offensive or anything like that. It's for my own sake. It's like, you're leaving me a comment. I don't want to miss out on it. I want to make sure that I at least acknowledge receipt of your message. But to be fair, I haven't read anything from the comments since a week ago. So I've been slowly but surely getting back to that too. I got to the point that I wanted to bring children into this world because when I see humans, we suck. How could I bring another human into this crazy world? I've been evolving from this thought. And you see, interestingly enough, the video that I will upload later, it goes a little bit over parenting and stuff. And for me, the saddest thing about kids these days is that disconnection. We're not really socializing the way that we used to. And although my upbringing was not socially the most amazing, the most privileged, I can say that I got to meet people who were close to my parents, especially my mom, since I was raised by her. But I knew who her friends were. I knew them by name. I also knew where they worked, and I knew why mom was friends with them. And I would even know who the people mom was dating was, even though I didn't know what it meant for her to be dating. I was aware, I knew names and stuff. And my grandparents, they were a very important figure for me. Some cousins and some aunts for me as well. But kids these days, especially when you see a customer and they have a baby, and you remember that they said that their family is like in California and they're over here in the East Coast, but then they say that their spouse is from, say, Texas. So much distance. How do you get to bond? You're depriving your children of your family. And I'm not judging you for your choices, like say your career is making you do this and whatnot. But I just remember how important it was for me to receive love from different people. Because your grandparents love you in the grandparent way. Your parents, they have their parental kind of love. And then your cousins, it's like you either get along with them or you just don't. And for me, it didn't help that I was extra young at the time. Like my, let's see, my half brother, who's our eldest brother, he is about, I want to say he's like 12 years older than me. And my full brother is 5 years older than me. While it may not sound like a big deal, that means that we belong in different decades, and different decades bring different experiences. So I cannot say that I bond that much with my eldest brother because, for starters, we just don't talk. But also, our circumstances were so different. And his maternal family, I wouldn't know them. If you were to tell me, pick his mom from this lineup, I'll fail. Maybe I'll get lucky and pick the right person randomly, but I always wonder what it would have been like to have experienced his love, because hello, out of what, 4 siblings, I'm the youngest and I'm the only girl. I'm pretty sure for my eldest brother, it would have been a big deal for him to be there for me. And then my full brother, we were not exactly close when we were growing up, but it's because he was born when our parents had a functional marriage, and I was born toward the end of the marriage. So psychologically, he became very attached to the idea of our parents being together. So when my parents split, I am told that my brother lost his shit. To put it bluntly, he lost it. And he did not recover from that mess for a long time. So when I am born at the end of the marriage, it's almost looked at as I arrived to wreck it. So maybe he used to treat me, not so nicely, because he might associate the end of his good days with both parents with my arrival. Even though I had nothing to do with that, I was still born when the marriage still sort of existed. But pretty much, I was born, and a few months later, you could say that the whole divorce shit started happening. I cannot blame my brother for wanting to look at me unfavorably, but hopefully, now that he's grown and he's demonstrated, he realizes that such a way of thinking is just erroneous and you have to get over it. But if I'm going to bring children into a world where stability is not the core, I'm not interested. I think it's a really irresponsible thing to do because I had it pretty rough as it is. And I was actually born when there were some good times going on. But now, my family, for instance, they're nothing like what I remember. Most of our elders, of course, have passed on, and they were important, vital to keeping the family tight. And now my parents are becoming the elders, and they have their challenges that they have to face. Say they're not ready to embrace their old age quite like their parents were. What will be left for me when I get there and I have my own kids? I shouldn't stop with the idea of having my own kids just because of that uncertainty, but I think it's worth it to think about it and consider the potential consequences that this could have on your offspring. I wouldn't want to bring grandchildren to my parents if they're not prepared for it. And even though my father has been a grandfather like what, 5 times already? My mom hasn't been a grandmother yet. And what's sad is my mom is way overqualified for being a grandparent. But it is possible that she may not get to meet her grandchildren, or she may not ever have any grandchildren. And I'm thinking, here's this lady with an amazing legacy, and that legacy is going to just stop at my brother and I. And the most I can do is inculcate the values that I strongly believed in from her onto other people, but it's not quite as impactful because it's not like they can say, yeah, that was my grandma, so woo, familial pride or something. I don't want to say that my mom's legacy is just going to like vanish, but I feel this immense responsibility of the great stuff about her. I have to make sure that I carry it on somehow. If I'm not going to like pass on genetics, at least genetics attached with wisdom and whatnot, I have to be able to pass something, like to prove the existence of this branch family tree, you know? But when it comes to bringing my own kids, I just feel like if I don't feel like this society supports my existence in it because I just dissent with the way of life so much, then do I really want to bring a child to train to be mentally strong to survive out here? Or should I just bring the child to the world and be like, okay, assimilate? It may have consequences. You will stress me out in ways that I don't desire. I have to keep you safe, but you're here. That's not how I am. That's not who I am. So if I cannot be there for my kids the way I envision I should be there for my kids, like a full-time mother, I can't bring them. So it's many things, but I also feel like, just like the title of this video, I have to compete for attention. Imagine what it would be like to raise children in this era where so many things are, they're being bombarded by temptation from different directions. What is my enemy? What is my friend? What is my neutral? you know? So in this era of the internet, I would have to be doing parental policing that in the past wasn't done. Who is my model? Who is my role model for parenting in the modern days? Someone out there might say, well, your parents probably went through that. How do you think their parents' lives were? At least they had many things in common. But society now, even the way you look for a job is different. So, am I individually equipped to provide the support for my child, for them to integrate themselves into society and not be fucking zombies? Put it that way. That's the way I look at children now. It's like, I mean, if I decide to have kids, I'm going to have a disadvantage that previous generations of parents did not have. Am I prepared for that? No one ever said, oh, heck yeah, I'm prepared to be a parent right this second. But the psychological aspect of becoming a parent in the modern days, based on your circumstances, that is something that you should consider. Some people can embrace it. They have the support, they have their families, they have a great spouse as well, an extended family. Not everybody can count on that. So if I'm not going to be counting on that, again, am I individually well equipped to deal with such a circumstance? That's my concern. All right, guys. Well, it's been a pleasure, but I should consider bailing now because I meant to be here for no more than 30 minutes. But of course, I knew that that wasn't going to work out. But anyway, I really have to go. I need to feed myself because I need to go to the gym before it gets too late and they close and stuff. So, but anyways, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in. And hopefully, the stuff that we discussed here made sense. And yeah, I will try to not be a stream stranger, but no promises. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.